G'day and welcome to another episode of Ian Smissen's Photography. This evening we're at Portland Bill Lighthouse on the Dorset coast. Unfortunately, even though it's windy, it's not very rough, so there's not going to be a lot of wave action to give us some nice action shots down on the coast because it's a really lovely rocky shore here. So I've got about half an hour before the last sitting for dinner, so we're going to have a wander around and see what we can find to shoot. I've got a couple of compositions in mind, but it's always useful to get out here, particularly when you haven't been to a place before, and check it out. So let's go for a walk around the coast and see if we can find a couple of compositions. I'll talk to you soon. Well, this is one angle that I could shoot from, where I get this little bay in the bottom right corner with wave action washing up over the rocks. At the moment there's a really nice light with the sunlight leading directly up to the lighthouse and then the point out to the left. I quite like that, and if I move that over a little bit further, it sort of gets a little bit out of balance. If I go that way, it's a little bit out of balance. I could go up and shoot more of the sky. So there's some opportunities from here. I'm going to move on and see if I can find something closer up to the lighthouse and closer to that point. And the other classic shot, or at least classic location, is Pulpit Rock here, with that big rock on the foreground of the main rock leaning into it. I think the better shot, particularly if the sun pokes out at sunset, is going to be from the other side because it will light up that face. So I'm going to walk around there and see what I can line up. Fortunately, as you can see from the water here, there's a little bit of chop and a little bit of white water, but not a big swell. So it's going to be reasonably safe to get down onto some of the lower rocks to get closer up and get a different sort of composition than you get from the top of the cliffs. So I'm going to walk over there and have a look. Alright, so this looks like the location. Much better angle. Hopefully there aren't as many people out here later in the evening, but if there are, that's what Photoshop's for. Or I'll just have to try and set up a composition without them. So we'll see what we can come up with in an hour and a half's time. Now it's time to head off and grab something to eat and hope the crowds disappear a little bit. See you soon. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to another great evening out on a rocky shore.
You bet.
So, Joe's been up climbing up and down the lighthouse while I've been out checking out the potential spots to shoot from. Hopefully she'll be out there this evening finding some of her own things to shoot, but it also helps to have somebody who's doing a bit of B-roll and shooting me shooting in the field. So Joe's a bit more of a photojournalist.
Yeah, I document the process.
So what are you looking forward to getting out there and shooting?
I hope that there is some good light in the lighthouse. That's what I hope.
Yes, I'm not sure about the light at the moment. It's looking a bit grim. The clouds are setting quite heavily in the west. But let's just have a look at the view here. If I spin you around... If we were any closer to the water, we'd be getting wet. So let's hope we find something useful. If not, hey, it's another good night at the beach. Bye for now.
Bye.
Did I say something about this being a popular spot? Should have booked a bloody seat. Anyway, I'm going to go over there and see if I can find a spot to shoot from. One of the really good things about landscape photographers is they're all usually friendly. They can get a bit territorial though, so I'm going to dodge around between them and see what I can find from a location point of view. Anyway, I'll talk to you once I've got there. So it's got a bit wilder just before sunset. It's about 20 minutes to go before sunset. The light's quite good at the moment. but there's a really big bank of cloud. If I just come over here, you can see there's a really big bank of cloud just below this, where the sun is now. And that's going to make it darken up really quickly. So I'm going to move from here now. I've taken a few shots, vertically and horizontally. As you can see, the crowd is here. We've been negotiating spots to shoot from, but that's always good fun. And I'm going to head off around and see if I can shoot the lighthouse with what's left of the sunlight, if I get there in time. I'm not sure whether you can see it right here, but there's a line in the water of rough water out there, which is where there's a clash of two currents. And that's the purpose apparently of this lighthouse. If I spin around here, so that's the purpose of the lighthouse, is to keep ships away, to keep them offshore, so they don't get troubled in that clash of currents. It's a bit quieter around this side, so I'm going to head over here and shoot back towards the lighthouse. Although I might end up turning around and shooting that boat and the frame of that crane, because the clouds behind it are just gorgeous. So we're back here on the eastern side of the lighthouse. The light has sort of died. There's a little tiny bit of pink in the sky. But what I'm going to try and do is to shoot from a wide angle shot from down here in this little cove with the white water rolling up over these boulders. This little headland here, the lighthouse, and a nice looking sky above it. We'll see how that goes. I might have to move around a little bit so that I get more angle on the line of the white water through that rock up to the lighthouse. At the moment, it's just a straight vertical line, and while that's okay, it doesn't give much dynamism to the shot. So we'll see how we go. Okay, here's the setup. Pentax K-1, 24-70. I've got a polarising filter on to take the glare off the water. Even though there's not a lot of direct sunlight on it anymore, there's still a fair amount of reflection of the grey sky, and I want to remove that. And the sky itself is a light grey colour in comparison with the dark water, so I've put a 4-stop graduated neutral density filter on top of that, as well as a 3-stop neutral density filter to give me a shutter speed of about 4 seconds at f11 at ISO 100. And that's just giving me enough blur in the water without making it too much blur to make an interesting foreground on the right hand side, with that diagonal working its way up towards the lighthouse. This is an interesting composition for me, because the lighthouse, which is ideally the centre of interest, is actually bang in the middle, but there's enough interest on both sides of it to keep bringing your eye back to it. So let me know what you think of that in the comments below, but I quite like that composition. So I'm now going to spin you around, and I'm going to head over to that little jetty there with the boat and the crane on it and take a couple of shots there, because I really like this rock platform with the waves washing over it, and we might be able to get some nice shots from that in the foreground to the lighthouse in the background. So I'll show you what I get when I get over there. So here's the next shot. This crane and boat and rock face and just that little bit of white water over the ledge, and just trying to slow it down. Same setup I had at the previous shot. I've got a polarizing filter to take the glare off the water, a 3-stop neutral density filter to slow the shutter speed down, and a graduated neutral density filter just to lighten the top of the sky a little bit. So we'll take a couple of shots here, and then I've got one more shot in mind, and that should be it for the night. All right. Now this shot. It's going to take a bit of fiddling around to get the height right. If I come lower down, if I move around a little bit this way, I can line up those rocks and the lighthouse. And maybe this one as well. And this is the place that just keeps giving. Another little angle here with the channel diagonally running up from the bottom left into the middle of the shot, and this crane and rowing boat. I'm also interested in these cottages and boats up here. So I'm going to have 1 or 2 more shots while there is still light, and then head back to the hotel for a well-earned good night's sleep. But this is just a spectacular place. Look at this panorama. How's that? This is just one of those places where one last shot isn't cutting it. It's getting so dark the video is going to be hard to shoot from now on, but I'm going to take a few more shots here, some really long exposures just to try and capture the light in the lighthouse and the lights in the lighthouse keeper's house and the waves down here with the white water. So that's it from me here. If you've liked this video, please like, subscribe, click the little bell if you want to be notified, do all that stuff. But please remember, pixels are free, so get out there and shoot more. And if you're in Dorset, just come here, it's amazing.